Hello, Abnormal Investigations. Good to see you guys. Let's see. Our last two videos didn't get as many views as we've been getting, so I don't know if it's the content or if y'all are busy. This one here, guys, is one you're not going to want to miss. It was sent in today. It's a sad one. It shows how evil these creatures are. I want to thank each and every one of you for your support. It means so much to us. Go over and join our outdoor channel, guys. Wide Open Adventures. It's growing really fast, and we're doing lives over there and videos, but it's called Wide Open Adventures. Let's get into this video. When I was 15, my mom and her boyfriend, who I thought of as my dad, decided to get married. We were all super happy about it. They bought a beautiful house in the country, surrounded by woods and fields. I loved it there. It was so peaceful and quiet. But little did I know, our happiness wouldn't last long. Strange things started happening at night. At first, I thought it was just animals. But then I heard it, a loud, eerie howl. It sent chills all over me. I tried to ignore it, but the howling kept happening. One night I decided to investigate. I snuck out of my room and I looked out the window. That's when I saw it. A werewolf standing in our backyard. Its eyes glowed in the dark from the yard light in our front yard. And I froze. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was so scared, but I couldn't look away. The werewolf, it started moving toward the house, and I knew I had to do something. I slammed the window shut and ran back to bed, trying to forget what I had just saw. But I couldn't get over what I had seen. And then I started noticing strange things during the day, too. My mom's boyfriend would be gone for hours, and when he came back, he'd be acting a little strange. So one night at dinner, I asked him right in front of Mom, "Why are you gone all the time, and why are you acting so weird?" He kind of looked at me and said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're gone all day, and when you come back inside, you act weird." He said, "Well, you wouldn't believe me." And then Mom looked at him and said, "Try us." I took a deep breath and said, "I've been seeing things out there in the woods." Or he took a deep breath. He said, "There are things that can't be explained in those woods." My mom and I exchanged a skeptical look, but he continued, "I've seen shadowy figures lurking in the trees, and I heard strange noises at night calling my name. And then there are the full moons." He paused, looking around the room nervously. "I think I might be changing. I don't know what's happening to me, but I feel it. And I think it's connected to whatever is out there in the woods." My mom laughed, thinking he was joking, but I saw the fear in his eyes. I knew he was telling the truth, or what he believed to be the truth. And then it clicked. The howling, the strange behavior, all this made sense. "You're a werewolf?" I blurted out, my voice barely above a whisper. The room fell silent. My mom's boyfriend looked at me, shocked, and then nodded. "I think so. I think I might be," he said. We all laughed. The next day the neighbor came over, Mr. Preston. He was an old cowboy. He said he was having trouble with the creature in his barn, one that looked to be part human and part animal. My mom's boyfriend at the time said, "If you have any trouble, just call me. I'll come over and help you take care of whatever it is." That night the phone rang. Mom answers. He said, "I shot it and it ran off. Please wake your boyfriend. I need him to come over and help me immediately. I shot it. I shot it." He was so afraid. I remember the ambulance arrived and they took my mom's boyfriend. Later, Mom broke the news to us. He had passed away in his sleep from a massive heart attack. I was in shock. My mom's boyfriend, the man I had grown to love, was gone, and the strange occurrences, the howling, the creature in the barn, it all started to feel like it was connected to me also. As the days passed, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was going on out here that I didn't want to know. And then I started noticing strange things again. The full moon was approaching, and we could all feel it. One night I saw my mom's boyfriend standing in our backyard, but it wasn't him. It was the creature, the werewolf. And then I realized the truth. He wasn't dead. He was alive, and he was one of them. So I started researching, and that's when I found the Dogman. I was scared, but I knew I had to confront him. I went outside, and he turned to me. His eyes were yellow, and his face was distorted, but I saw a glimmer of recognition. "Why?" I asked him. "Why did you leave us?" He growled, and I could see the struggle within him. And then he spoke. "I couldn't control it." He said, "I didn't want to leave." "I didn't want to hurt you or your mom." I felt a mix of emotions, fear, anger, sadness. But most of all, I felt sorry for him. He was a victim of something he couldn't understand. But he wouldn't talk, and he ran away. We lived there a few years, and things were not bad no more. Mom had started dating a man from town. He was also a farmer. When he came over, he would always ask Mom to lock the doors and close the window blinds. He always felt that he was being watched there, he said. One night, he was staying the night and went to the barn. And that's whenever I heard my mom screaming to the top of her lungs like I had never heard before. She had went to check on him, and my mother was screaming as I ran to her. Screaming and vomiting. I remember it. It was white chunks everywhere. I will never forget that. And when I got out there, my poor mom had found him in the barn, dead. Yes, he was dead. His legs and arms were missing, laying all around in the hay around his body. Blood was everywhere. But the weird thing was, they never found his head. His head was missing, and there was a search of the property, and his head never turned up. They said a mountain lion had probably done this and took his head with it, and we would probably never find it, or the hunters would find it. I knew better. But I knew not to question their authority. I was young. They were the older cops. And they said an animal had done this. Pulled his arms and legs off. His head was removed and never found. There was blood everywhere. He had been literally pulled apart. I was shocked and horrified by that gruesome discovery, but deep down I knew that it wasn't a mountain lion, that I had committed the brutal murder. I knew that it was something more sinister, something that had been lurking in the shadows for years. I could not shake off the feeling that the werewolf, my mom's former boyfriend, was still out there watching us, waiting for his next victim. I was so afraid. My mom was devastated by the loss of her new partner, and I could bring myself down to the barn, but I just couldn't go in. I didn't want to add to her pain and suffering, so I didn't tell Mom about him being the werewolf, so I kept it quiet. But I knew that I had to be vigilant. I started to notice strange things again, like footprints in the woods and howling in the distance. I knew that I wasn't imagining things, and that the werewolf was still out there, waiting for his next opportunity to strike. I felt trapped and hopeless, living in a constant state of fear. I knew that I had to do something, but I didn't know what, and then one full moon night I saw him again, standing in our backyard, watching me. I yelled to him, and I called him by name. He looked at me, and he ran toward the barn. I ran and told Mom. I told her the story. I told her everything. And she just looked at me calmly. Not saying I was crazy, not saying that I was lying or asking me what the hell I was saying. And she looked at me and calmly said that I must never tell anyone what I had seen, that they would think I was crazy and they would murder us. She said the police will say we murdered him and that we would go to jail for the rest of our lives and put the needle in our arms. But I noticed at night that Mom was sneaking to the barn and staying for hours. I asked her what she was doing and she'd say smoking. I didn't believe it. Some nights I could see her in the door talking to something, making hand gestures to something or someone. I was confused and scared. I didn't know what it was or what it was doing or who it was. But I knew that my mom was hiding something from me. I decided to follow her one night to see what she was doing in the barn. As I approached the barn, I did hear strange noises. I sounded like a dog trying to talk. There was whispering and growling. I slowly peeked through the door, and I saw my mom talking to him. The werewolf, the Dogman. She was petting him, and he was nuzzling her hand. A human-like creature, the head of a canine, and my mom is petting him like a dog. I was shocked and horrified. How could this creature speak? What kind of demon from hell are you? I didn't know what to do. My mom saw me and she rushed over, telling me to go back to the house, but I stood frozen, watching the scene that was happening before me. This creature, and it was talking. The werewolf looked up and it saw me, and for a moment I thought it was going to attack me. But then he nodded at me as if he was giving me an acknowledgement. My mom took me back to the house, telling me that I had to keep this secret, that no one would understand. I was torn between fear and curiosity. I didn't know what to make of it, and I didn't know what was going to happen. But as the days went by, I realized that my mom was trying to protect him, to keep him safe from the world. When Mom came to the house, she told me that he said he couldn't leave us. He was always going to protect us. Mom got very sick that year, though. It was during 2021, whenever, the sickness went around. She passed away. The next day we received a call that my mom's grave had been vandalized. Someone had tried to dig up my mom. They said they got all the way to the casket and had it laying on the side of the ground. Thankfully, she was still in there, and they did rebury her. I haven't seen or heard from him no more. I live in that same very house we lived in. I'm still not sure what to think anymore. All he can do is, I don't know, run and hide and hunt still, or did he disappear? I'm not sure. I know that it's very scary. I'm still living in that old house, surrounded by the memories of what happened. It's been years since I last saw or heard the werewolf, but the experience has left me a lasting impact on me. I'm still trying to make sense of it all. I just can't understand how something can be so evil. I've tried to research to find answers. Yeah, good luck with that. The only thing I could find was Dogman and werewolf and mythical creatures, supposedly. I'm here to tell you today, these creatures do exist, because I seen them and I seen what they can do to a normal man. Yeah, your mom's grave gets dug up. Something popped into my mind as soon as you said that. I wonder if they did rebury her, if she was still in there. I'm going to leave that at that, because I'm not going to get carried away with my imagination on this one, but I really started thinking about that. And then, I start wondering, was her first boyfriend really the dog man? Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Something happened that triggered this. Why do families go from being happy and not afraid to, if you notice, it ain't just one person. They all have to battle these things. What caused that? I have no idea. Thank you for watching, guys. Until next time, don't be something's dinner. Keep your head on a swivel. I said it a little different, didn't I, that time? Good night.